Hey everybody, welcome back to WireDogSec. I'm back with another video for you guys. Before we get into it, you know what to do. Hit that subscribe button, hit the like button if you enjoyed the content, comment below on your thoughts and opinions on the information discussed in the video. Helps out the channel, helps get the good word out there, you know, all that good stuff. Alright, got a couple articles going to take a look at here from Data Breach Today. The first one's going to be over the financial services industry, and the next article is going to be over healthcare industry. Financial services was among most breached sectors in 2022. Well, that's no surprise there. I mean, that's where a lot of the money is. So, of course, they're going to be a huge target for cybercriminals. This industry has logged 566 data breaches worldwide so far. Public notifications reveal. All right, I'm just going to browse over this article. Not going to read the whole thing. Of course, I'm going to have the links to the articles in the description section of the video. All right, too often it seems, thanks to phishing attacks, money laundering, ATM scammers, malware, and more. Problem goes beyond monetary loss associated with fraud or accounts getting drained. Globally speaking, organizations in the financial services sector have suffered the second largest number of known breaches this year, placing financial sectors behind government organizations ahead of the retail sector, according to threat intelligence firm Flashpoint. Like I said, no surprise there. A lot of money, a lot of good data there in the financial services industry, and of course, attackers want to get hold of that information. See, 254 million leaked records. Data was exposed when it was detailed. General hacking techniques were blamed 57% of the time. So that makes me think that a lot of these organizations aren't following cybersecurity best practices. No surprise there. Seems to happen a lot when organizations fail to implement cybersecurity best practices. So other tactics being used to steal money from banks include money laundering, transfer schemes, so-called mage cart tactics for stealing payment card data from websites remain alive and well. Right, those are those website skimmers. Usually they're in like JavaScript or something. So the user or victim goes into the website, types in their information or whatever, and that JavaScript's running in the background and it sends that information off to attacker controlled systems. See, phishing dominates, no surprise there. Phishing's always going to be around, and attackers to continual sorry continue to improve their tactics when it comes to phishing. Phishing is getting more and more sophisticated. Sometimes you'll get the, generic phishing email that comes in and says, "Oh, Office 365, you have a document here. You want to view it? Click this link." To more sophisticated types of attacks where they will actually target companies that their main target deals with. And that comes back to like supply chain security and such. Let's say that you're a huge financial um, organization, right? You do business with various different, smaller financial organizations out there. Well, if I'm an attacker, I'm going to go after the low-hanging fruit, since your systems are probably more secure than that small organization. So I'm going to target that small organization. As soon as I get in there, I'm going to do some recon, some other things in there. I'm going to go through and look at email communications, who has this person been talking to, et cetera, et cetera. And then I'm going to target your organization. That way, my phishing emails or my attacks will look more legitimate since I'm coming from a small organization that you are familiar with and have been doing business with. So the target organization will be more likely to trust whatever I'm sending to them. That just increases my overall success rate. So here in Q3, cybersecurity firm Trellix says that based on its telemetry data, financial services was the sector most targeted with malicious emails accounting for 20% of all such attack attempts, followed by state and local government at 13%, manufacturing 12%, federal government 11%. Blah blah blah. Initial access brokers get access and sell them to others, including ransomware, wielding criminals, and the mage cards. So pretty much explain practice of attacker sneaking, so-called digital skimmers, JavaScript code onto legitimate e-commerce or payment platforms. Also continues. Mage card style attacks. Right, still payment card information as customer goes through and pay. Right. All right. Let's see here. Ransomware remains a threat. Banks are among the organizations that continue to fall victims to ransomware attacks. So far this year, Flashpoint reports data was leaked from 55 financial services firms that declined to pay a ransom to their attackers, right? And that's the usual MO for ransom operators. I mean, if you don't pay, then they're going to sell your data on some dark web website. Basically, it's double extortion. All right, they go in, encrypt your systems with the ransomware, all right, to get you to pay. If you don't pay up, oh, by the way, we've also stolen your data before we encrypted it. So that we'll use that as leverage in case you don't pay. Well, we're going to sell this data on the dark web. Okay, I'm not going to go through and read everything. Nice little fancy chart here, fancy colors and such. State-sponsored hackers, experts say one of the most prevalent of the advanced hacking groups that target financial services continues to be North Korea Lazarus nation-state hacking group or hacking team. Well, that's no surprise there. I mean, North Korea has like a million sanctions against that country, so of course they're going to target financial um, organizations to try to get a hold of information or money. All right, that's the end of this article. We're going to take a look at that healthcare article here. All right, here's the second article from Data Breach Today. Analysis third-party health data breaches dominated in 2022. HHS breach tally signals biggest risk threats likely in 2023, which is that goes without saying, of course, the healthcare organizations are going to be targeted by cyber criminals because they have a lot of good data that they want to get a hold of. I mean, they can sell that data, reuse it, what have you, do whatever they want for malicious activity when it comes to stealing data from healthcare organizations. All right, hacking and business associate incidents were the crux of many of the large health data breaches reported to federal regulators in 2022. Blah, blah, blah. 2022, some 701 major breaches affected 59 million individuals, according to a snapshot on Tuesday of the Department of Health and Human Services HIPAA breach reporting tool, also known as the Wall of Shame. All right, website listing healthcare breaches affecting 500 or more individuals. All right, to call it the Wall of Shame, I mean, it's pretty much self-explanatory. You get owned, you're going to end up on that website, and that's a black eye for your organization. Hacking IT incidents dominated, and 549 such breaches affected 44 million people. Wow. See, ransomware attacks accounted for nearly 80% of the breaches reported and were responsible for about 75% of people affected by all major health data breaches in 2022. Ransomware has been at the top of the list for many years now, and you would think that a lot of these organizations would come to realize, like, maybe we should take a better look at our environment and see what our weaknesses are and try to better secure our organizations so that we don't end up on this list or get owned by these cyber criminals. But many organizations fail to do that, so they end up on this list here. It says here one of the largest breaches, ransomware attack on one touch point, 4.1 million individuals. Overall, 249 reported breaches involved business associates, affecting a total of nearly 24.1 million people. Vendors were at the center of nearly 36% of reported breaches and responsible for about 42% of those affected. Right. Vendors. Now, this goes back to proper vendor management. All right. A lot of organizations fail to do this. They don't have a vendor risk management group or team that deals with the vendors. Okay. A lot of times, these vendors aren't going to be nearly as secure as your organization. All right, I mean, let's just face it, some of these vendors really don't give a crap, okay? They just do whatever, or they'll do the bare minimum to do the check in the box on their compliance stuff. So they're not going to be as secure as they should be. And in turn, these cyber criminals realize this, so they're going to target those vendors. All right, the vendors a lot of times contain a lot of data that's a treasure trove for cyber criminals, and that data can be your organization's data, like patient information, other types of information that's stored on vendor systems. And if the vendors aren't doing their due diligence, due care to secure that information, well, let's say they get compromised. Now you're going to have to deal with the blowback of that incident that happened at a third-party vendor. Let's see here. It's got an example here. For instance, a hack incident involving cloud-based AI care leaders detected in December 2021 resulted in dozens of covered entity clients reporting breaches affecting more than 3 million individuals in 2022. We continue to see ransomware incidents, including exploitation of protected health information and extortion, blah, blah, blah. Largest email compromise breach appeared on the HHS OCR website in 2022 was reported last March by Illinois-based Christie Business Holding Company, which operates Christie Clinic, affecting nearly 503,000 individuals. Holy moly. Other incidents, access to closure breaches. Second most common type of breach reported, 113 such incidents affecting more than 7.5 million individuals. And it goes over more examples of those organizations. All right, let's see here. It's got a little fancy little chart thing, lists out those organizations, individuals affected. top 10 largest health data breaches reported in 2022. We'll probably see more of this continue. Maybe we'll see more than this maximum amount that was reported. Let's see what's at stake. The breach pattern seen in 2022 emphasized the importance of thinking beyond known risk and implementing strong information security and data protection measures. Well, like I've been saying, implement cybersecurity best practices. And I keep saying it, but you got to pound it in people's heads because a lot of times organizations choose not to do that, and then they have that surprise Pikachu face when they get punched in the gut by cybercriminals. They come in and they do what they want with the organization. Let's see here. HIPAA covered entities and business associates should consider performing tabletop exercises that rely on internal policies and procedures to evaluate how well the organization is able to respond to threats, and that is highly important here. Let's say you got your incident response plan all squared away and everything, but it's just sitting there gathering dust. No one's looking at it. No one's doing these tabletop exercises or simulations to prepare for these types of attacks, because eventually your prevention measures will fail and you'll have to respond to incidents. And how are you going to be efficient at responding to incidents if you're not doing tabletop exercises or practicing what your procedures are listed in your documentation? It's useless unless you're actually practicing and making sure that those policies, procedures are effective in your environment. Also, as third-party risks sharply rise, it is essential that organizations consider and manage vendor risk, as I've already explained. See, this includes not only an evaluation of vendors' policies and procedures, but also means asking difficult questions such as, is it simply too risky to share information with a particular vendor? And that's an awesome question to ask them. All right, I recommend having some kind of list of questions and some kind of document so you can send over to the vendor for them to answer. And if they answer something that's some kind of answer that doesn't fit well with you, well, then you should further prod them and say, hey, well, why aren't you doing this? Why aren't you doing that? Why aren't you doing that? Right? That way you can have some kind of documentation written down in regard to the vendor in case you have to do business with them. Sometimes you have no choice but to do business with that vendor. Okay, I think that's about it for this one here. Anyway, if you enjoyed the information shared, enjoyed the video, all that good stuff, be sure to hit that subscribe button if you're new here. Hit the like button, helps out the video and the channel, and comment below on your thoughts and opinions on the information shared. Hopefully you guys paid attention. Hopefully you're out there doing research on cybersecurity best practices, and hopefully you're implementing cybersecurity best practices. Have a nice day, and I will be back with another video. Thank you for watching.